But did you know that you're not supposed to use 你好 to some people? Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. Today I will be teaching you basic greetings and how to introduce yourself in Chinese. Perhaps the easiest greeting that almost everyone knows is 你好. But did you know that you're not supposed to use 你好 to some people? So the term 你好 doesn't actually mean hello. It's actually a lot more closer to the English equivalent of how are you doing. The word 你 means you, and the word 好 means good. So a more direct translation of 你好 would actually be are you doing good or are you good? But it's very different than how are you or how are you doing in English because even though it's sort of a question, you don't have to answer it. You don't have to say, I'm fine, thank you, or I'm doing good, thanks. You can use 你好 to greet most people, like your friends, your family, your coworkers, etc. But there are some people where I highly recommend you do not use hello to them, but instead use 您好. There's a slight difference. One is 你好, and the other one is 您好. 您 has the character heart or 心 under the character 你, and 您 is to refer to people you really respect. The main difference between 您好 and 你好 is that 您好 is used as a more respectful term to refer to the person you're talking to. Or it can be used to refer to someone you really respect, or a venerable person. We commonly use 您 to refer to teachers, your boss, your parents, your elders, monks, nuns, and etc. etc. You can also use this type of greeting throughout any time of the day. It's quite interesting that the difference between the words 你 and 您 is only by adding one word to it, and that is 心 or heart. To greet someone you respect, you have to put your heart into it. Next are greetings to use during different times of the day. For the mornings, you can use 早上好. 早上 means morning, and 好, like I mentioned before, means good. So 早上好 really means good morning. This would be one way to say good morning. But actually, a lot of people in China, they don't really say 早上好, but rather they say 早, which is the short version of 早上好, and it still means good morning. Another way to say good morning would be 上午好. Do you notice the pattern here? If we follow the logic of putting the character 好 at the end and it becomes a greeting, so what do you think would be the greeting for maybe noontime or afternoon or nighttime? So in Chinese, the word for noon is 中午, and the word for afternoon is 下午, and the word for nighttime is 晚上. If you guessed 中午好, 下午好, and 晚上好, you are correct. Did you also notice something similar between some of the greetings that I just said? The greetings for morning, noon, and afternoon seem to have one word in common, and that is 午. So this word 午 means midday or noontime, and combined with the words 上, 中, 下, they become different times during the day. So the three characters 上, 中, and 下 are pretty common characters. The word 上 means up or above, and you can easily recognize this because it points upwards. And the word 中, this word means middle. You can easily recognize this because there is a vertical line going down through this box, so it's the middle. And finally, 下, which means down or below or underneath. This is also really easily recognized because it points downwards, so it's referring to something under or below. When you combine those three words with the word 午 or noon or midday, then 上午 becomes above midday, so that's the morning. 中午, in the middle of midday, becomes noontime. and 下午 means after midday and it becomes afternoon. Now, you might think, but Tai, I also see 上 in 早上 and 晚上. So what does that mean? Well, actually, the 上 in 早上 and 晚上 don't really have a meaning. Because since 上 is placed at the end of the word, it doesn't bring any meaning to it. So 早上 is still morning and 晚上 is still nighttime. And another thing about 早上 and 晚上 is that if you take 早 separately, in some cases it can mean early. And if you take 晚 separately, it can also mean late. So on to self-introduction and asking for someone else's name. When asking for another person's name, we usually say 你叫什么名字? What is your name? 你 refers to you. 叫 is either to call or call out. 什么 means what. 名字 means name. So together, 你叫什么名字 means what is your name? And to reply, we usually say 我叫 so and so. 我 means I or me. 叫, like I said before, means to call or call out. And the character for me or I, which is 我, is used very commonly. So be sure to remember that word. So together, 我叫 means I am so and so, or I'm called so and so. And if you're meeting someone for the first time, we sometimes might say 很高兴认识你. 很 means very or a lot. 高兴 means happy. 认识 means to meet or recognize. 你 refers to you. So together, 很高兴认识你 means I'm very happy to meet you, or it's a pleasure to meet you. And one thing to keep in mind is that the 你 can also be exchanged out for 您 if you're referring or talking to someone you respect. So if you were talking to a friend, you might use the term 你, like 你叫什么名字? But if you want to be more respectful, or you are meeting someone older than you, you might want to use the word 您, like 您叫什么名字? But there's also another way to ask even more politely what the other person's name is, but I'll get into that later on. And for 很高兴认识你, there's one thing about it. You don't necessarily have to include 我 into the sentence. You don't have to say 我很高兴认识你. You can just say 很高兴认识你. Because since you are already talking to the person, you don't have to refer I am very happy to meet you. You can just say, it's a pleasure to meet you. You don't have to say I feel like it's a pleasure to meet you, right? It's too excessive. So you don't need the 我 in that sentence. So to sum up what we've learned, let's go over the phrases again. 你好,你好,您好,您好,早上好,早上好,上午好,上午好,中午好,中午好,下午好,下午好,晚上好,晚上好,你叫什么名字? 你叫什么名字? 我叫很高兴认识你很高兴认识你 So that is all for today's video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you like my channel. And if you want me to continue this series where I share some common Chinese phrases and common Chinese vocabulary, or if you have any other suggestions, please feel free to leave them down below. So that is it for today, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. 我们下次见.